Hi everybody, this is Justin Moss and I'd like to welcome you to my series of drawing a portrait on toned tan mixed media paper. This is video 1 of 3 in this series. So the first question to answer really is why toned paper? Drawing on toned paper is a little bit like sculpting, right? Rather than building everything up with darks and grays, you can actually add in whites and work from both sides simultaneously, right? So you can work with your darks and your lights at the same time. Rather than just talking about it, I think most of you would like to see me draw, so let's move on to something that I've laid out and sped it up so that we can get a decent amount of drawing done in a very short clip. So this is just a quick sketch that I put together, and I'm now going to add some white charcoal. And the nice thing about the toned tan mixed media paper that Strathmore makes is that it handles just about any kind of media, wet or dry. So when I build a drawing, and I mean in this case it's a figural, but it's same with portraits, I like to start by blocking in shapes, and then I come in with my lights, which normally, and in this case, is white charcoal, and then I start to build up tone and darkness with graphite. The nice thing about this paper, as opposed to a lot of other tone papers, is that it handles so many different kinds of media. And especially when we're sketching, I think a lot of times, you think, okay, I'm going to draw with this kind of media, I'm going to draw with charcoal, or I'm going to draw with graphite or whatever. And then you think, you know what, it would be nice. I wish I'd done this in pastel, or I wish I'd done this in watercolor. And with this paper, you can actually change your mind, right? You can add in a lot of different types of things. So up until this point in this sketch, you can see that I've basically just stayed with those two medias, right? Graphite and white charcoal. And a lot of the drawings that I'm known for just use those as a base. But the nice thing about this is that you can add in, here I'm adding in charcoal. And you can see, for anybody that's ever tried charcoal over top of graphite, it actually blends, which is remarkable. There's very, very few papers out there that allow you to do this. Here I'm adding in pastel, right? So I can add an element of color to what would have otherwise just been a monochromatic drawing. Really neat, and an option that you just generally do not have. Next, I'm going to do something even crazier. I'm adding in marker. And the nice thing about the marker, watch it go right over top of that pastel. No problem at all, right? You would never normally be able to do that. And the marker's still able to put white charcoal right over top of it, right? And one of the most amazing things about this paper, I think, is how it handles wet media, right? So there's watercolor, no buckling, lays down nicely, and it's just amazing the sort of difference that you can have with this that you don't normally get. I want to show you one other thing which I think is pretty neat about this paper. So let's say you laid down graphite, you say, oh, I wish I had put a white there. So I actually erased that with an electric eraser, no problem, white charcoal right over top of it, and as you can see, no damage at all. Just a really, really nice paper. Now, this product's pretty new, but it's the mixed media version. But Strathmore's been making toned products for a long time, and I love them all, so I just want to give a little bit of shout out to them. So they have their toned tan in a small sketchbook. There's a toned gray mixed media. I normally work on the tan just because I like it for portraits. You can see the difference in the two colors, but they're both great colors. They are basically identical except for the color. They have the coil bound books, which are quite nice. And then these are the books that I use for almost all of my portraits, right? 11 by 14 coil at the top, great size for working on a portrait. Just really my favorite paper for that kind of thing. And if you want to go really big, they have these huge rolls, which are really economical, and they allow you to cut off whatever size you want, right? So there's my plug on the materials. That's the type of media that you can put on it, and I'll see you for the next video.